Dennis continues his white-splaining. The man identified as the president of the Greater New York Black Lives Matter, Hawk Newsom, recently told Fox News, "If this country doesn't give us what we want, then we will burn down this system and replace it." All right? And I could be speaking figuratively, I could be speaking literally. It's a matter of interpretation. Well, that was some pretty uppity shit, was it not? Mr. Newsom clearly doesn't know his place, nor does Mr. Newsom understand that only white folk are allowed to talk like that. Revolution and the violence that comes with it is only permissible when white people feel victimized by kings, tyrants, other religions, taxation, masks, stay-at-home orders, that kind of thing. And if the federal government is trying to take your freedoms, essential God-given freedoms like the right to own another human being so long as his or her skin color is sufficiently dark, it is the right and duty of white folk and white folk only to rebel and violently attempt to destroy that system of government, burn down the system and replace it, if you will. And if those white folks lose the battle to keep their slaves continuing their oppression, those white folk can take heart in the fact that statues will be erected honoring them for their violent, treasonous actions. But again, this only applies to white folk, and people of other races had best not step out of line. That's all I'm going to say. How in God's name does a Jew tell blacks to just calm down and take their oppression peacefully and without anger? Dennis's God destroyed crops, killed livestock, sent plague after plague after plague, and murdered, yes, murdered the firstborn male child in every Egyptian home. And Dennis is the guy whose university just defended the people supporting the keeping of Confederate statues, calling them very fine people. He honors the white folk who violently rebelled in order to continue enslaving black people, but looting after 400 years of systemic racism and oppression? How dare you, you black devils! This is one of the many reasons why people are protesting. The unbearable double standards like this, where white people who fight for their freedom, even the freedom to enslave an entire race of people, are heroes deserving of statues in their honor. But black people who fight for their freedom and with far less bloodshed are thugs, looters, and just hurting themselves. Dennis, if you don't want black people to feel victimized and angry, why isn't your solution a call to end the continued victimization which causes that anger? How about removing those paralyzing burdens, as you call them, from the lives of black people in this country? There is clearly and overwhelmingly evidence of continued black oppression and inequality. Choose the metric and you will find it. Wealth, health, employment, education, home ownership, imprisonment, being stopped by the police, etc. There is no dispute here. The facts are clear. And either those facts are the result of long-term systemic racism and oppression, or maybe blacks are just incapable of competing in our society, right? Maybe it's genetic. Can't figure out another explanation then? Maybe, just maybe, there are some very serious and ongoing effects of 246 years of slavery and wage theft, then another 100 plus years of Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, etc. Maybe it's infuriating to know that your people built this country into the economic powerhouse it is on the backs of slaves and slave labor, all while being denied every opportunity to take advantage of the very opportunities they created for the rest of us. The opportunities we still have, and of which they are still routinely denied or given piecemeal. Maybe denying blacks jobs, education, loans, voting rights, wealth, justice, and basic human dignity for centuries, and that's just for starters, has put them in a spot they should never have been in to begin with. How is it that there was ever a poor black person in America after 1865? How did this country enslave, torture, murder, rape, and steal the wages of an entire race of people for 246 years, and then just toss them out on their own without education, without money, without opportunity, basic rights, dignity, respect, or a justice system to protect them? All without reparations or any attempt to set things right. American greatness, my fucking ass. And how do people like Dennis now say it's too late to finally do the right thing when it comes to reparations and making things right? Does the Bible put some time limit on doing justice? Aren't you commanded, Dennis, to act justly and love mercy? Or is that Micah Center so far in the rearview mirror you can't even see it anymore? Dennis, you absolutely disgust me, and your white-splaining is beyond deplorable, especially from someone whose God violently kicked the out of those who enslaved and oppressed your people, the Jews. You want to continue honoring Confederate sacks of treasonous shit, but think blacks need to dial back their anger? It's time. It's way past time for black people in this country to be given the respect, dignity, honor, wealth, and opportunity they have earned and created for the rest of us. What you clearly don't understand, Dennis, is that blacks in this country don't have the luxury of deciding whether or not to feel victimized and angry. Their victimization is shoved in their faces every f***ing day, and their anger is righteous. Your denial of that reality, and reality in general, doesn't require them to do the same. Certainly not so people like you can continue to feel comfortable in your privilege. It's time for this country to live up to its ideals and achieve the greatness you maggots say you want. And this time, for the very first time, let's make America great for everyone. For PragerFU, I'm me. Thanks for watching. Satire comes in lots of flavors. There's the amped up, overtuned feeding frenzy of mockery kind. And then there's satire that leaves you laughing and thinking as a result. That's what the Mr. Deity channel's all about.